I did.
Okay, moving on to item number 10. Has there any, I'm going to reiterate again, folks, we do have a sign-up sheet for this item up here. If anybody hasn't gotten their name on that list to speak, we can do so this time while we go through this. Item number 10 is 32 Abeel Street. It's a site plan to construct a 16,213 square foot community center. Section of the lot is 56.43-5-35.100. Seeker determination, zone RT, Rondout Historic District, Heritage Area Commission, LWRT, Ward 8, Irish Cultural Center, Hudson Valley Incorporated is the applicant owner. Is there anybody besides the applicant owner wishing to speak on item number 10? And Kyle is going to get the names from the list.
So the first speaker will be Rose, and I hope I don't crucify your last name. Onsek.
Onsek, excellent.
Okay.
That doesn't happen very often. Thank you. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Rose Bonsek, and my husband Michael Cleary and I are homeowners and business owners here in the city of Kingston. We are also very proud to say that. Hold it. Okay, got it.
You got it. Thank you. That already feels better. Thank you. So we've been fortunate that we've been volunteers for the Irish Cultural Center and supporters of the Irish Cultural Center since the first days of its development. And we've watched the organizers and members of the ICC successfully launch many, many large events, like the Hoolie on the Hudson, like the Shamrock Run, like the St. Patrick's Day Parade, events that involve thousands and thousands of people with nary a hitch. And we know that there won't be any problem with ICC members coordinating events. If they can coordinate events of that size here in Kingston, they're going to have complete success in coordinating and meeting any challenges that come up regarding any artistic events at the Irish Cultural Center and its theater that seats only 175 people. And that's what I want to take just a few moments to speak about tonight, is that theater. I've been a working theater director for over 40 years, and there is no professional theater between Woodstock and Poughkeepsie, and our community is ripe for more theater.
If I could just interject one
Yes.
thing. We're trying to hold the amount of comments to 3 minutes, so...
I will make it quick. I timed it, I cut it, I'll rock on. So, a couple of quick statistics for the benefits. If you set aside even the cultural and creative rewards that it offers, research has shown in the United States alone in 1 year, $704.2 billion in the U.S. economy. Here in Ulster County, a 2014 study found that the total economic impact of Ulster County's arts and culture in a single year, 23.5 million. Artistic events drew 1.1 million day visitors and over 380,000 overnight visitors. People attending cultural events inject money into the local economy. And in that same study, in that same year in Ulster County, people attending events injected $161 million into the Ulster County economy. And just to conclude, having a new state-of-the-art theater in Kingston would benefit certainly our local businesses, but it would play an important role in our identity as a community. Having the cultural center certainly would allow us to come together and celebrate Irish culture, literature, dance, music. But having the theater itself will give us a public space to come together as a community to tell and experience the stories that are meaningful and important to all of us. Theater teaches us about who we are. It reminds us what it means to be human. And in this increasingly tech-driven and highly politicized age, theater keeps us grounded and connected to one another. It comforts, it challenges us, and and theater is how a community reflects itself. The Irish Cultural Center and its theater will reflect the values, the identity, and the amazing culture of the city of Kingston and our community. I really encourage you to throw your full support behind the ICC, and I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Boncheck. Owen Harvey.
Thank you for that. And thank you, Board. Just take it out. Is this okay? I'm Owen Harvey. I live at 26 Abeel Street. I just wanted to reiterate several points, I guess, that were delivered to this board from Green Plan Inc. and Fitzpatrick Engineering. One, the planning board needs to issue a positive declaration on seeker. As demonstrated in the supporting letters from Green Plan and Fitzpatrick Engineering, there is no basis in fact for the City of Kingston Planning Board to issue a negative declaration for the Irish Cultural Center, Hudson Valley. The application provided by the ICCHV does not contain proper safety analysis, nor does the application provide a thorough assessment of concurrent area venues that potentially would degrade operational efficiency and safety. There is no properly conducted parking study provided. There was no traffic impact study conducted. There continues to be unresolved potential harm to neighboring residential land uses. Point 2, unenclosed uses, radio stations, and drinking establishments are not permitted by right in the Broadway West Strand area, where the applicant has claimed frontage. Unenclosed uses are not permitted by right for buildings with direct frontage in the Broadway West Strand area. Uses not fully enclosed in a structure are subject to the issuance of a special permit by the planning board. The issuance of a special permit is only permitted for the areas of the district outside the Broadway West Strand area, as defined in the zoning code. As such, the ICCHV's plans for an unenclosed use of its roof is not permitted by right and would require a variance from the ZBA. The applicant is proposing operating a radio station out of their proposed building. A radio station is not a use permitted by right for buildings with direct frontage in the Broadway West Strand area. Such use is only permitted by special permit in M1 light manufacturing districts. As such, the ICCHV would require a variance from the ZBA to operate a radio station from their site. A drinking establishment is only permitted in parts of the IT district outside the Broadway West Strand area by special permit. Restaurants are permitted in the Broadway West Strand area, but they are defined as being permitted to only serve beverages. Only drinking establishments are defined as being permitted to serve alcoholic beverages. Existing structures in the Broadway West Strand area may serve alcoholic beverages if they are able to demonstrate that use was there prior. The applicant is putting forth a new build where there was no prior use as a drinking establishment. Bullet 3, applicant request for a parking waiver does not meet the requirements as outlined in the city's zoning codes. In Code 40519 RT Rondout District, it is recognized that the nature of existing buildings, lot layout, topography, and other physical features in the district are such that adherence to rigid regulations may prove difficult. Therefore, procedures to permit appropriate flexibility of development have been established.
30 seconds left.
Sorry. The applicant has failed to demonstrate that their inability to meet the guidelines for parking requirements is due to the limits of an existing structure, lot layout, topography, or other physical feature. Rather, they have only demonstrated that their inability to meet this mandate is self-created due to the size and scale of their proposed project. There's another bullet in my letter, which I'll include to you, but I also wanted to include a map of the RT district because I go over where the West Strand and Broadway district area is, and also the areas of Abeel Street that are zoned for the type of uses that Broadway West Strand area warrants if you have frontage there. What you'll notice, though, is that Abeel Street, between Broadway and Wirtz, is not in that area. And that is where not only my home, but Deanna Baum's home is located, which is zoned for residential use only, according to the zoning codes. So please
You want to submit
review.
that for us?
I have a copy for everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Ms. Donchak, are you still in the audience? Do you want to provide a copy of your comments to us, or do you want to email that to us? Okay. Okay.
Kate Cook. Good evening, Kate Cook, 283 Thomas Street. I am also a member of the Ladies Ancient Order of Hibernians. I'd like to defer my time to Katie Dwyer, if that's okay. Thank you.
Merle Warrenstein. Also, Joanne Myers was ceded her time to me and asked me to speak for her.
Who are you speaking to?
Joanne Myers, she's on your list. Wasn't feeling well. She left and she ceded her time to me. Okay, guys, so let's talk about the white elephant in the room as far as I'm concerned. Parking. This has created an incredibly divisive line between people who were formerly friends. I have a business in Ward 8. Many of the people here are from Ward 8. I don't know how many people speaking for the ICC are from Ward 8. I know there's one business, one couple that owns a business there. But honestly, this affects us in Ward 8, particularly on Abeel Street. People can come from Woodstock or any place else and speak to the benefits. And I am sure there will be some benefits. But right now, in the city of Kingston, we are speaking to, as your constituents, from the ward where this project is proposed. The other thing I'd like to say, talking about feelings first and facts second, we all know, and it would be a lie to deny the fact that many of you have been my customers and could not even park to come to dinner 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Some of you would even use my tenant's lot behind the restaurant that we own for my tenants, with my permission, because you didn't want to have to walk in the rain or the snow or with the children. There are people here, they were in for dinner with other family members who didn't even want to use the shuttle to go to the Bob Dylan show. They left their car in the Rondon area and walked because the shuttle just don't do the job well enough. The parking situation is one that I do feel it is not caused by the ICC. The lack of parking and the lack of planning for enlargement is a city problem. And I would love to see the city address this prior to building a field of dreams and hope that the parking will come. I think this is a little backwards. I think help is needed for many, many people. As I sat here tonight, there were 3 buildings on Abeel Street alone that are coming in. One is a commercial space that will be using the big 10 spaces on Abeel Street, which I was told was a lot that was built for the Armadillo. I'm making a joke. Somebody said that to me tonight. Municipal lot, 10 spaces, Abeel Street, walk home. So, yes, of course my customers use it. The New Progressive Baptist Church uses it. 115 Abeel Street, which came up before you tonight, uses it. I did not hear the full wording of 101 Abeel Street, but from what it sounded like to me, they would be using it too. There are now 3 bed and breakfasts. Joe Marchetti, who hasn't seen any improvement in the area in 30 years, I take offense at that, has a bed and breakfast, plus his where he lives. They're using the lot also because he doesn't have parking for his bed and breakfast. The building that he sold to Jeff and Maria Lowe now has a bed and breakfast. They don't have a parking lot for their bed and breakfast. So there's 10 spots on Abeel Street. Let's face it, they're overused. We are desperate for parking. I speak to you today simply because I could lose my business. And I know people don't really, I don't blame them for not caring. They have their own agenda. But for me, after over 30 years in this area, it would be a shame to see the armadillo no longer be here. And I am very seriously speaking the truth. We have another lovely inn, the Forsyth Inn, which also, they have their own parking, but what if somebody wants to visit them? They'll need a little spot or two. This is not to speak poorly about anyone's efforts to do theater or anything they care to do. We have UPAC, by the way, which is a great theater. There used to be drinking at the Bridgewater Cafe, but when Mike Piazza bought that building, he was told by the city there will never be another drinking establishment there because it's residentially zoned. He said no to Mike Piazza. What are you going to say? Yes to someone else? But again, that's a city issue. I have approached many people in the city. I've even asked the mayor. There is a big vacant lot across the street where the Hotel Noah was. The city and the people that own that now have all these new properties uptown, and we have a great big hole in the ground. I even went to Bob Carey and asked if he'd go to the mayor with me, but he expressed to me that he was too busy.
We have 30 seconds.
Okay, I would like to see that Hotel Noah turned into a parking lot. It would solve everyone's problems. Fill it in, make parking. It is a hole in the ground, and nobody will be divided over this issue anymore. This is a city problem that I would like to see solved, and you're going to really need to consider doing a positive secret in order to get help to settle the parking issues. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bornstein.
Yeah. All right, Jill Marchetti. You left. Okay. Kevin Ginty.
Kevin Ginty, I live in Woodstock, New York, but I also own a building on 60 Pearl Street with my daughter and her business. And I have to agree with Merle that the city of Kingston and the planning board here, and I spoke to this in the very beginning when the Irish Cultural Center was brought up and people started talking about parking. It is a city function, a municipal function to solve the parking problem. It is not the function of a business owner. Business owner comes in and takes great risk, opens a restaurant, opens a B&B, opens a hotel, and hopes that people will come. Now, my office originally was on 45 North Front Street, uptown Kingston. And in the time I was up there, I would say 30 years, between Dyson's and the diner, up the street, make a right on Wall Street, you have 16 restaurants. None of them have parking. And now we're opening boutique hotels. One diagonally across from my new office on 60 Pearl Street, I moved from North Front Street because of the parking problem. As we all know, if you're honest, when you have businesses, you have deliveries. So you try and get through North Front Street. More and more people, every planning board meeting I come to, and I'm against nobody's business. This city has to decide whether it wants to put its head in the ground and stop growing. I think we all know IBM isn't coming back. We have entrepreneurs coming up buying the Woolworth building, buying the Toner building, making a boutique hotel out of it. They bought what they call the Kremlin on Fair Street, another boutique hotel. I'm not against them, absolutely not against them. We both all know sitting here, they have no parking. The Maritime Center has no parking. If you look at the size of their facility, they've grown from 3 buildings. No parking. And a lot of people may not know, but right across from the Maritime Boat Building, which used to be Rosita's, there's plans to put up on that lawn. Somebody just bought those buildings. They want to put up a 2-story with retail downstairs and apartments up. Where are those people going to be parking? So I'm not against parking, but the Irish Cultural Center has every right to be built on the property where it is. That is where the Irish was. That was called Little Dublin. Look in your history books for the new people that have moved here. That is where the Irish did the brickyards, the bluestones, that dug the canal. That is where the Irish Cultural Center belongs. Parking is a straw man. I agree with Merle. The city is very late to address it. On North Front Street, I talked to the previous mayor about the parking lots on North Front Street, and they were in horrible shape. And I said, if you're going to rebuild them after the other one collapsed, why don't you go up 4 stories, 5 stories, build a real parking garage? Instead, the city spent millions, redid it beautifully, it looks great, but how many parking spaces did they add? They're keeping their head in the sand. This city's going to die without municipal parking. We want businesses, we want theaters. UPAC has no parking. It sits on Broadway, except for the lot across from Guido's Little Italy, which is a municipal lot. Where would you park without it? We need municipal parking. We can't stop growing this city. We can't keep discouraging entrepreneurs to come in here and expand the tourist base. Tourism is going to be our only business. We better wake up to that fact. Thank you.
My name is Jim Carey. I'm the president of the Ancient Order of Librarians. We represent about 300 members. Bill Fitzgerald, who you might know, would be here tonight, but he called me from, that's Mike's father, if you know Mike. He's up at St. Peter's Hospital, and he's a true Irishman. He's laying in a bed up there with about 10,000 tubes in him. He calls me on the phone and says, Jim, get the hell down there. I want you to say something about the ICC. So he says, give it hell. You heard our story before many, many times, and I don't want to bore you. Okay, so I'm going to deliver his message. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carey.
Pat Rosie.
Hi there, Pat Closey. I would like to say to Merle Bornstein that this is not an issue of friends or anything except the fact that we have the right to move ahead with a dream that we've had. And a word that I don't hear spoken much tonight is culture. To me, the Irish Cultural Center. You know, we lost 1.5 million people during the Cotton War. You don't learn about it in school. There's nothing here in our city that represents it except a monument that the Hibernians and the Irish Cultural Center built together. But, you know, there's been so much connotation about, oh, 3 years and drunken Irishmen, and with all the coolies that we've had, how many arrests have we had? How much trouble have we had with the St. Patrick's Day parades? We've always supported the city has always supported us. We have a right to build, and when we do build, we'll work together with the Armadillo, with the neighbors, with whomever. That's what Kingston's all about. You know, there's not much that can be said tonight that hasn't been said before, but it's about culture, it's about community. There's 2 elephants in the room. One is parking, we all know that. The other one is blindness. You know, let's open our eyes and work together and build something beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Katie Dwyer.
My name is Katie Dwyer. My address is 95 Madison Avenue, Kingston. I'm also a business owner and an employer in the city of Kingston, and I'm here to express my support of the building of the Irish Cultural Center, Hudson Valley, at 32 Abeel Street. I'd like to address 3 issues that are used as arguments against the project: location, size, and parking. As for the location, I keep hearing right project, wrong location. This is absolutely the right location, and here's why. The history. The Rondout area was once known as New Dublin because of the mostly Irish D&H Canal dock workers that grew up on that hillside. A cultural center should be built in an area that possesses the history which that cultural center seeks to preserve. The events. The Ulster County's largest Irish events of the year are held on the Kingston waterfront. The Shamrock Run and St. Patrick's Day Parade both culminate at Broadway and West Strand, and the Hoolie on the Hudson exclusively takes place there. The location of these Irish events makes 32 Abeel the right location for the Irish Cultural Center. The neighborhood. This is not an exclusively residential area of the RT district. In the 2 blocks of Abeel between Broadway and Home Street are a florist, a salon, a restaurant, an active garage, 2 B&Bs, an art gallery, and not long ago, a bar and restaurant that before that was a nightclub. There are numerous businesses being operated out of homes on Abeel, plans for commercial space in 115 Abeel, and 101 Abeel is for sale as a commercial use building. Adding the ICC at 32 Abeel will help the flow from Broadway up Abeel, encouraging foot traffic to places like the Armadillo. The ICC is a prime example of an infill project. The size. The proposed ICC building is only a 2-story building with what is known as a walkout or daylight basement. Because the building is being constructed on a slope, the height at grade from the first floor of the roof line conforms to and is under the code requirement at 34 feet 10 inches, not the 49 feet that keeps being reported. Because of the elevation difference between the ICC property and the adjoining properties, the ICC building will visually be shorter than the residence at 26 Abeel next door. The parking. Not a single other business along the Rondout area of Broadway, West Strand, or Abeel provides on-site parking for their customers. The ICC will provide some on-site parking, plus even more parking in their additional lot, pending Common Council's approval of parking on accessory lots citywide, a decision which will be a benefit for so many other businesses. This is an old code which has no discernible modern purpose. In fact, the apartments at 50 Abeel are already using a lot across the street as parking for their residents. Additionally, consideration is being given for the owners of 2 boutique hotels in Uptown Kingston to allow use of an accessory parcel for parking pending issue of a variance from the zoning board, and there's a proposal of Kingston Waterfront LLC on the East Strand, which plans on using an accessory parcel for parking. This planning board made the right call and waived the parking requirements for so many other projects throughout the city, such as Brunette, the Forsyth, Art Bar, and the expansion of Little Italy. And every new business in Uptown Kingston that had a change of use had its parking requirement waived, such as Boydson's, the Frog Mar, now Redwood, 2 Ravens, and the Senate Garage. Thanks in part to these waivers in the Uptown area, there's been a revitalization. The downtown area of Kingston is one of the city's business centers. We must champion development, which will in turn inspire the city to find new ways to address parking, which will be a benefit to all the businesses in the Rondout. In conclusion, I encourage this planning board to consider the facts. This location is the right location for the Irish Cultural Center to be built. The size of the building does not exceed the height requirement, and the center will be providing more parking than any other business in the area. Thank you.
Tamara Olin.
Tamara Ellen. Hi, how are you? I own the Forsyth B&B at 85 Abeel Street, which has been mentioned twice tonight. Thank you. We bought our building a year and a half ago, and yes, walking, and it will significantly change the feel of our community to have that kind of traffic. I don't think the equivalents presented tonight are actually accurate in any way. And I really personally made an investment in the Rondout because I think it is a beautiful historic community. We want to bring people to our community, but I think this is not a project. Until additional parking is approved by the Common Council, that should go ahead at this time. It's not about Irish culture. It's not about any opinion about Irish culture. This is about whether or not people coming into our neighborhood would be able to actually park. Foot traffic doesn't, other than people walking back and forth to their cars, doesn't really exist, and I can't imagine that it would be created. So I just want to express my concerns about the feeling and nature of our community through this project. And I'm not opposed to it in principle. It's really a matter of practicality. I do hope if additional parking could be approved, my response would be different. Thank you.
Sandra Burke.
Hello, my name is Cassandra Burke. I'm 17 Roundout Drive, Kingston. I live in Ward 8, and actually, my concern here tonight is primarily about process. It's my understanding that the planning board was presented with an engineering report and planning report independently submitted today about this project. And I don't know that it seems appropriate or sends the right message to the public for you to have the public hearing and a vote on the SECRA on the same night, especially with all of the reports and documentation and comments and other things that were submitted in writing. I would think that you should give yourselves time to review all the materials presented and all of the various facts before making a decision. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Abeel.
All right, Tom Abeel, 160 Trumbull Avenue in Kingston. I've worked with the Irish Cultural Center group on the financial portion from the very beginning, I guess. And I think in every process there comes a point where you may not have every single last comment that can be made, but you've certainly heard the comments 3, 4, 5, 10 times over. There comes a point where you have to make a decision. And I think, to my mind, Katie Dwyer tonight perfectly summed up where we are in that process. Addressing the issues that have been raised over and over again about the location, and nobody can dispute the historical significance of what the Irish contributed to the Roundout. Nobody can really stand here today and talk about the Roundout being an exclusively residential area, because anybody who's looked at the history of it knows that with the D&H Canal and the bluestone and the bricks and the factories, this was always a mixed community. A community that was jammed up against one another, and a community that was dominated certainly by that D&H Canal Paymaster's house that sat right on that Paymaster's path going up. The Irish Cultural Center fits in there. The parking issue has got to be addressed by the city of Kingston, and I think that's going to happen, but I don't think that should hold up making a decision and moving forward and bringing people in and developing our economy. It's been mentioned here of the events that the Irish community has sponsored over and over again downtown. Parking has always been an issue for the Hooli. I know I myself have parked many blocks away and walked down. But when people want to go someplace, they'll find the parking. Parking lots are needed. A parking garage is needed down there. These things are going to happen, but they're going to happen because the demand is there based on businesses and economic development. The city sees that, it's going to happen. I urge you in this process, we've been to court now, the courts have ruled that this is an upright development, it's in the proper zone. I urge you to move ahead and say, enough is enough, the work's been done, let's make this all happen, let's bring our community together, let's celebrate a real success for the economy of downtown and the city of Kingston. Thanks.
I thank you for this opportunity. I'm ceding my time to Hillary Harvey.
Hillary Harvey.
Good evening. I'm Hillary Harvey, 26 Abeel Street. I'm standing here tonight not as one person, but as a group of neighbors and friends of the Rondout. We submitted 31 letters for your review last week during the public comment period on that cultural center. To be efficient, we have just a few people here tonight. We also have expert testimony, which Suzanne Cahill said we could submit today at the public hearing. As we understand it, the applicant hasn't received final approvals from the Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission, nor to the Heritage Area Commission, and because Company Hill Path is a city-owned property, any construction on it would require approval by the Common Council. So I'm wondering what's the process for this board voting tonight prior to those points in the process happening. As the mother of 2 young children who we had to bring tonight, I have serious concerns about the construction safety for the ICC in fencing off the site, in rock hammering or blasting that will be utilized to excavate more than 50% of the property over the course of more than a year. And I brought this up here back in November 2015. If you look right now, actually, on